Decim is your ugly-looking emo boy working as an arbiter known for using the worst possible methods to judge people. His life changes upon meeting a mysterious girl who makes him question his entire existence. Eventually, Decim decides to seek her help in judging people while developing desire to become human himself. However, before any of this, a couple named Takashi and Machiko found themselves in a strange place they didn't recognize after stepping out of an unusual elevator. They stumbled upon a magical cafe run by a friendly barista named Decim. He asked them if they could recall any memories. Machiko remembered a picnic by a beautiful lake, and Takashi nodded in agreement. Decim then explained the rules. They have to participate in a game chosen randomly. They must wager something important, and leaving is not an option until the game ends. Initially hesitant, Machiko and Takashi explored but couldn't find an exit. Decim showed them a room full of colorful balloons as a warning. Feeling uneasy, Machiko and Takashi agreed to play. Takashi pressed a button, and a roulette wheel appeared. The chosen game was a puzzle challenge. The cafe transformed, revealing a room filled with puzzles waiting to be solved. Decim explained the game's rules to Machiko and Takashi. They both have 501 points and 7 chances to throw darts. The goal is to reach 0 or have the lowest score at the end. Each part of the dartboard is connected to different body areas and will cause pain when hit. Initially unsure, Machiko and Takashi threw a dart each, experiencing the linked pain. Convinced, Machiko wondered how such a strange game could involve their bodies. Takashi, seeking answers, questioned Decim, who clarified that he hadn't caused their pain. Decim offered them a choice. To avoid pain, they could miss with their remaining darts, but risk losing the game due to the current score. Machiko shared Decim's suggestion with Takashi, and they intentionally missed their targets for 4 turns. On his 6th try, Takashi remembers the crowded room and how important the game is to him. He throws the dart shakily, hitting the board and causing Machiko pain, putting him in the lead. Feeling sorry, he apologizes right away. After a break, they continue playing. When Machiko throws her 6th dart, the pain returns, making her stumble. Her dart hits the board, causing Takashi pain and putting her back in the lead. Takashi, in pain, starts suspecting Machiko wanting to hurt him. Despite Machiko's protests, he gets up, ready to throw his last dart. However, Machiko, holding her stomach, reveals she's expecting, calming Takashi down. He recalls her recent fatigue and apologizes, embracing the idea of becoming a father. As he prepares to throw his final dart, a flashback about his wedding day hits him, and the dart lands on the stomach section, tying their scores. Machiko thinks Takashi did it on purpose. Without confirming or denying, he starts to talk about how he believes Machiko was being unfaithful. He mentions overhearing her friends saying she's lucky to have someone fulfilling her needs while being married. After Machiko denies his accusations, Takashi gives up on their future together and walks to her dart. He asks Decim if he can use another player's darts. Decim explains that the throw matters, not the person throwing it. Takashi realizes the game is unfair for one player and feels it's all a setup. When he questions what happens to the loser, Decim says he can't reveal that. Takashi takes Machiko's dart, taunts her about losing for once, and calls her by her nickname, Makai. Discovering his mistake, Machiko stands and reveals the true person of that nickname, Yuki Machida. Shocked, Takashi rushes to apologize, but Machiko takes the dart from him. As she throws it, memories of their relationship flood her mind. Their first meeting, springtime drives, kisses, cozy moments, a positive test, and their wedding. Machiko's dart hits the bullseye, securing her victory and shattering Takashi's heart. Takashi tries to remove the darts from the board to have another chance, but Machiko stops him, aware they are deceased. Decim confirms their death, explaining that humans are judged and sent to either heaven or hell. Decim's purpose is to assess the departed. Those who die simultaneously play a game to determine their judgment. In a sudden flashback, Takashi recalls the moments that led him to suspect Machiko. He also reminisces about their honeymoon trip, which ended in a car crash caused by his jealousy over her phone. Distraught, he pleads with Decim to intervene, believing Decim to be a deity, but Decim clarifies that he is simply a judge. Takashi then confronts Machiko, accusing her of having another person's child. Despite Machiko's attempts to explain her innocence, she sees Takashi's confusion and walks away in tears. To protect Takashi from further distress, Machiko falsely confesses to cheating for money, showing a remorseful affair in a flashback. Enraged, Takashi tries to harm her with darts, but Decim, with wire-controlling abilities, stops him. Decim declares the game over, makes a judgment, and renders Takashi unconscious. Decim guides the couple to their respective elevators, bidding them farewell. Above Machiko's elevator is a Hanya mask, while a Nekizo mask hangs over Takashi's. Later on, Nana praises Decim, who appreciates her words and seeks the new girl's opinion, which she finds unpleasant. Nana assures her that she will adjust. The black-haired woman inquires about the destinations of the departed souls. Nana predicts Takashi's soul will be reincarnated while Machiko's will be sent to the void, a decision confirmed by Decim. The lady is awakened by a mysterious girl named Nana who asks if she can recall her name, but the lady cannot. Nana reassures her that not having a name is okay. Nana guides the dark-haired lady to a single train car. Curious about their destination, the lady asks Nane, who replies, the 15th floor. They arrive at a stone building and enter it. Inside, they board an elevator at the end of a hallway and meet Clavis, the elevator operator. Nana instructs Clavis to take them to Decim's location. Clavis warmly greets the dark-haired lady, who responds in kind, and they head to the 15th floor. They arrive at the Quindecim bar. Nana takes a seat at the bar, and the dark-haired lady admires the beauty of the place. The bartender, Decim, greets Nana and then turns to the dark-haired lady. Decim introduces himself, and the lady inquires about the place purpose. Nana explains that Quindecim is where the deceased arrive after death to play a game with their lives on the line. Judgment is based on their memories and humanity shown during the game. Nana reveals their roles as arbiters who assess the memories sent before arrival. The memories are viewed like a kaleidoscope. Nana simplifies it as magic. And as the lady tries to ask a question, Nana contacts Quinn to send the memories of the new arrivals. Decim receives the memories, causing his eyes to react. After reviewing the memories, Decim proceeds with his duty. Nana guides the lady away to explain the unfolding events. Nana guides the dark-haired lady through a side door into a hallway. She reveals that the lady will assist in the process. They enter a room filled with mannequins, which both find unappealing, with Nana mentioning it's Decim's interest. Sitting facing a wall, Nana explains that the deceased are being convinced to play a game on the other side. The lights dim, revealing Takashi and Machiko as the players. Nana shares that people often forget they are dead due to the shock, making it crucial for them to believe they are alive to participate in the game. They observe Decim persuading the players through the wall panel before it closes, and the lights return. Nana clarifies that memories alone are insufficient for judgment. By creating intense situations, the arbiters can reveal the guest's darkest aspects for judgment. Nana highlights fear as a fundamental emotion in this process. As they move to the upper lounge, the dark-haired lady notices the dressed mannequins. Nana advises her to focus on the ongoing activity below. Looking down, she sees a dart game, which is an unusual choice this time. Watching Takashi and Machiko play, the lady witnesses Takashi accidentally hurting his wife with a dart. Curious about the game, she asks Nana for an explanation. Nana reveals it's a pain-inducing game where the dartboards are connected to body parts, causing real pain when hit. Observing the couple's reluctance to throw their next darts, the lady assumes they are trying to avoid causing each other harm. However, Nana points out that the couple's fear of losing, which could lead to death, drives their actions, with Machiko on track to win. Nana warns that losing in this game is perilous, emphasizing that no one wants to risk their life so easily. Tossing his next dart, Takashi hits Machiko's target, causing her pain and taking the lead. Nana had a feeling this would occur, while the dark-haired lady wonders if it was on purpose. Nana explains they can't read minds but can make educated guesses based on past memories. As Takashi's board gets hit again, Nana admits there's much about the mind that remains a mystery to her. She reveals that the couple tragically passed away in a car accident caused by Takashi. Takashi, filled with anger, is calmed when Machiko discloses expecting, and they reconcile. In a moment of distraction from his returning memories, Takashi accidentally hits Machiko's board with his last dart. Nana notes how these games are crafted to bring back memories bit by bit. After the game, Machiko realizes they are no longer alive. They listen to Decim explain about heaven and hell to the couple. Nana tells the dark-haired lady that those terms are used to simplify things for people, but in reality, it's the void and reincarnation they're talking about. The game they saw is like a soul tribunal. As their conversation ends, Takashi gets upset with Machiko. Standing at a distance, Machiko recalls when Takashi proposed, a moment she happily accepted. She turns around and reveals his fears. She admits to cheating on him, the child not being his, and her lack of love for him. Decim bids farewell to the couple, while Nana and the dark-haired lady observe from the hallway. Meeting Decim in the corridor, Nana praises him. He appreciates her kind words and asks for the new girl's opinion. She finds it distressing. Nana assures her she will become accustomed to it. The dark-haired lady inquires about the couple's fates. Nana speculates that Takashi was sent for reincarnation and Machiko to the void, a confirmation given by Decim. The lady then asks them to recount the couple's memories to help with her own judgment. At the dartboard, Decim gathers the darts as the dark-haired lady confirms Machiko's betrayal. She suggests it might have been a one-time mistake. The lady believes the baby was indeed Takashi's, despite Machiko's denial, considering her statement a lie. Decim, puzzled by Machiko's deception, questions the lady about Machiko's motives. She thinks Machiko lied out of sorrow, shielding Takashi from the belief that he harmed his child, even if he resented her for it. Machiko's lie aimed to ease Takashi's guilt and deceive Decim into viewing him positively. Decim is taken aback by the revelation and disputes the lady's interpretation, stating that a deceased person's concerns are self-centered. The lady asserts that Machiko's genuine affection for Takashi drove her actions. Thinking deeply, Decim reflects on how if Takashi hadn't overheard Machiko's friends talking, they could have had a happy life together. He then apologizes to Nana for his error. Initially smiling, Nana abruptly grabs his bow tie, emphasizing that as an arbiter, he shouldn't disregard emotions. She releases him after ensuring he understands that everyone makes mistakes. Moving to the bar, Decim serves the ladies Nana's favorite drink. They both enjoy it, and Decim expresses his gratitude. After Nana finishes her drink, she playfully remarks that Decim is known for good drinks and seriousness. When asked for guidance by the dark-haired lady, Nana simply advises her to continue working before departing. Riding up in the elevator, Clavis asks Nana about how things went for the dark-haired lady. Nana initially praises her performance but changes her mind after reviewing Takashi's memories. She realizes that Takashi's nature as a distrustful person would have prevented him from living peacefully. Back at Quindecim, Decim expresses his excitement about partnering with the dark-haired lady. He also apologizes for his earlier error. Decim admits his admiration for those leading fulfilling lives and confesses his doubts about his suitability as an arbiter based on his previous judgment in the game. As the sun starts to disappear, a boy in a bright yellow shirt waves to a girl in a pretty pink dress. The girl cheerfully mentions they'll meet later, and the boy nods in agreement. They exchange waves, but the girl is then called away by her mom. Awakening to Decim's voice, a man is gently roused from sleep. Confused, he asks where he is. Decim guides him to the bar for an explanation. Approaching a girl with brown hair and overalls, they sit together like strangers. The girl greets him cautiously, noticing his surprise at her beauty. Concerned, she asks if he's alright, and he assures her that he is. Decim now says hi and greets them to the bar, Quindecim. He then asks what they recall from their past. The man remembers being on a bus after college, but not much more. The girl, however, can't recall anything. Decim thanks them and explains their situation, while the dark-haired woman keeps track. He explains that they must play a game chosen by roulette, and they have to bet their lives on it. After hearing these rules, they try to leave. Unable to find an exit, the man asks the woman if she knows anything. She admits feeling scared and nervous as she can't remember a thing, not even her name. She questions if he remembers his name. The man does and tells her his name, Shidru Miura. At the bar, Decim suggests that playing the game might help bring back their memories. Shidru is unsure, but the young woman speaks up. She explains that since she can't recall anything, she's eager to take the chance and asks if Shidru will join her. After a moment of thought, he agrees, wanting to assist her. She bows gratefully. With both agreeing, the dark-haired woman presses the roulette button, revealing the chosen game, bowling. As the game is selected, Quindecim's lounge fills with smoke and golden light. When it clears, a bowling alley appears, surrounded by glowing water lilies in a peaceful pond, surprising Shidru and the woman. The lady with black hair explains the game rules. Each turn involves one throw only, and they will alternate turns until the game ends. They must use special balls containing their hearts. The players will bowl using each other's heart balls. Decim starts the game, and Shidru picks up an orange ball, feeling uneasy due to the ball's heartbeat. Decim clarifies that the balls match their heart rates but won't hurt them, being the same warmth as their bodies. When the woman asks about using different balls, Decim insists they stick to the rules. Shidru continues bowling, sensing the woman's rapid heartbeat, indicating nervousness. He feels the warmth of her heart through the ball, causing him to blush. Startled by his reaction, he refocuses and bowls, knocking down 8 pins. The lady then steps up for her turn and is surprised by the ball's heartbeat too. She takes the ball while Shidru tries to calm himself. After a moment, she wonders if Shidru is anxious but dismisses it as normal given the circumstances. Releasing the ball, she knocks down 5 pins. Shidru praises her form, and she thanks him, adjusting her hair. This reminds him of a childhood memory of a girl waving goodbye at sunset, which startles him, making him consider if the woman is the same girl from his past. He shakes off the thought and attempts to bowl. Distracted, he throws a gutter ball. The woman encourages him for the next try. Watching this, the black-haired woman feels relieved that they are resolving things without violence. Decim remarks that it's positive she's adapting well to the situation. Shidru and the girl have a great time bowling, cheering each other on. By the 8th frame, Shidru leads with a score of 69-49. The girl mentions she's enjoying herself, even though she can't recall her identity. Shidru apologizes and then playfully asks if she'll go on a date with him if he wins. Upon hearing Shidru's question, the woman with black hair beside Decim sighs. Decim asks her what's wrong, and she expresses sadness that the players don't realize they are no longer alive. Meanwhile, the girl notices her and Shidru's hearts beating fast but finds it comforting. As she bowls, a memory flashes by where she works at a bowling alley and recognizes Shidru. She rolls a strike, and Shidru compliments her, sparking a sense of familiarity. Despite her memory loss, she seems to have a connection with Shidru. Shidru bowls, then it's her turn again. With another strike, a memory flashes back. She remembers a moment from childhood where a girl named Chisato bids goodbye to Shidru, who responds with a farewell to Chisato. Impressed by her strike, Shidru watches as she joyfully reveals her identity as Chisato Miyazaki, his childhood friend who used to play with Mai in the park. Excitedly, he recognizes her, recalling that she had moved away. Meanwhile, Decim remarks cryptically from behind the counter that things are really starting now. The woman with black hair presses him for an explanation, and after some insistence, Decim shares a secret with her. Shocked, she screams, prompting Decim to hush her quickly. He hints that the newfound information might change things between the two friends by the end, emphasizing the importance of observing their reactions and making judgments. As Shidru prepares for his final throw, memories of his chat with Chisato flood his mind. Chisato's last shot ends in a gutter ball, meaning Shidru only needs to knock down 3 pins to win and secure their date, despite knowing he'll get a date anyway. He decides to channel his inner strength and aims for a strike. Releasing the ball, he reminisces about a past bowling alley visit with his pals. During the visit, Shidru excitedly points out Chisato, the girl he likes, to his friends. They share a surprising detail about her high school days, leaving Shidru stunned. Later, on a bus ride home from college, Shidru approaches Chisato, but before they can exchange words, the bus meets with an accident, tragically ending their lives. After striking the pins, Shidru collapses, overwhelmed by his memories. Despite knowing they're no longer alive, he remains on the ground. Chisato rushes to check on him, and he quickly bounces back with a smile, pretending everything is fine. Observing his erratic heartbeat, she purposely misses her final shot. While bowling, a series of quick flashbacks flood her mind: an operating room ceiling, a countryside view, glimpsing her reflection in a bus window, and Shidru's approach. She also recollects her true identity as Mai Takata, not Chisato, who had moved away. Decim announces the game's end, declaring Shidru the winner. The black-haired lady praises Shidru, who questions if they are already deceased. Decim begins explaining about heaven and hell but is cut off by Shidru, claiming he understands and doesn't need the talk. Shidru approaches Mai, interrupting her attempt to speak, and asks her out, realizing this is their only chance as they are no longer alive. He expresses his desire to be with her until the end. Tearfully, Mai accepts his offer as Decim observes with interest, while the black-haired lady shows excitement with a small victory gesture. They request Decim for some time together before departing. Initially granting 5 minutes, Decim is playfully pressured by the black-haired lady to extend the time. Eventually, he admits it was a jest and allows them all the time they need. In response, the black-haired lady playfully mocks him for being uncool, causing Decim to avoid eye contact. Later, Shidru and Mai stand by the elevators, holding hands. Shidru expresses how much fun he had and wishes this moment wouldn't end. He appreciates that they both have moved on. The pair shares light-hearted jokes and bids their final farewells. Meanwhile, Decim reflects on his conversation with the black-haired woman. He reveals to her that Chisato is not the real Chisato Miyazaki, but someone else entirely. Mai reminisces about their childhood, playing together with Shidru and Chisato. When Chisato left, their game stopped. Mai confesses her long-standing love for Shidru, even admitting it to him as a child. She recalls feeling unnoticed by him throughout high school, leading her to consider plastic surgery to catch his attention. Shidru remembers his pals mentioning that Mai had surgery on her face. Decim says goodbye to the couple and watches the elevators go up. Both lifts have a special mask above the door. The black-haired lady wonders if Mai resembled Chisato, while Decim cleans the bowling balls. Not knowing for sure, Decim mentions how mysterious life is. Every life has its unique story, yet they can be connected in unexpected ways. The black-haired woman tells him that he never know until it's all over, taking a ball from Decim, and this is what she thinks is exciting: bowling a perfect shot. Decim compliments her, and she turns around, beaming with a big smile. The lady and the man are wandering around Decim, trying to find a way out. They remember Decim telling them the rules, but the lady thinks it's all a trick. She takes the man to the lady's room to share her idea. She reveals she's Misaki Takabana, a TV star, and thinks they're on a hidden camera show. She suggests they go along with it. The man, Aosu Tateshi, is unsure but agrees when Misaki uses her charm. They go back to the bar and push the roulette button, revealing an arcade game. It's a fighting game where they can only choose avatars of themselves. Yaosuk's character has no powers, while Misaki's contempt. The black-haired lady says it's a best of 3 matches with no time limit. Decim encourages them to begin. Yaosuk shows his skills and wins the first game fast. Misaki looks upset but accepts her defeat. When she loses, memories from her youth flood back. She reminisces about her past, where she made mistakes as a teenager, got married, had children, and faced abuse from her partners. Before the second game, Misaki uses her temptation power to convince Yaosuk to lose the round for excitement, promising him a chance to win the final game. Despite this, Yaosuk seems to resist until Decim intervenes, causing Yaosuk to lose. Yaosuk recalls painful memories of his mother's hurtful words and his parents' divorce, leading to a tough time in high school and meeting his father's new wife. Before the last game, Misaki drags Yaosuk to the restroom in frustration, where he clarifies that he was only acting tough to keep the audience engaged. Decim is shown repairing Yaosuk's controller as the mysterious woman advises him to refrain from using the device. Decim explains that he needs to create intense situations to delve into the depths of people's souls as part of his role as an arbiter. In the restroom, Yaosuk expresses confusion about how they ended up there, recalling only sitting in his room. Misaki also can't recall arriving there but remembers her saddened children. When Misaki questions Decim about the reality of the situation, he confirms it's not a TV show and refuses to disclose more until the game concludes. Despite Misaki's concerns about the unfairness of the arcade game, Decim reminds her that life itself is often unjust. Misaki recalls a memory of nursing her 5th child, bearing bruises from her abusive 3rd husband. In the final showdown, Misaki tries her best move, but it doesn't have much effect. Suddenly, Decim intervenes again, breaking Misaki's joystick this time. The woman with black hair, feeling frustrated, grabs Decim's device and destroys it, believing that manipulating the situation is not right. To everyone's surprise, instead of losing like Yaosuk, Misaki unexpectedly fights back by preventing Yaosuk from winning, showing a side of herself she didn't realize existed. Misaki expresses her desire to assist Yaosuk, but Decim insists they finish the game. While Yaosuk is unconscious, he has flashbacks of falling from his apartment window, his stepmother wanting to be called mom, and being in an ambulance with her crying by his side. He awakens just as Misaki is close to victory and successfully ends the game in a tie. Later on, Yaosuk remembers a time when he decided to jump from his window, feeling overwhelmed. On the other hand, Misako recollects a moment where she mistreated her assistant, manager, leading to a tragic outcome where she was strangled to death. Decim reveals the truth that they are deceased and he is there to assess their souls for their afterlife fate, either heaven or hell. Misaki, filled with anger, attacks Decim, but he subdues her using strength. She expresses her desire for happiness without caring about others' opinions. Yaosuk reflects on his lack of consideration for others compared to their care for him. Decim consoles them both and commends their performance in the game. He guides them towards the elevators for their final judgment. Yaosuk is granted reincarnation, while Misaki faces being sent to the void. Later on, the woman with black hair has a dream about a young boy in a winter setting. The boy notices a beautiful girl having fun in the snow and starts to like her. After a while, he finally gathers enough courage to call out to her. The girl sees him and happily invites him to join her in playing. But as the boy eagerly runs toward her, he accidentally falls into a hole and begins to cry. Luckily, the girl comes over to help him, and he stops crying, feeling comforted by her kindness. The woman with dark hair wakes up feeling unsettled after having a strange dream. Shaking off the odd feeling, she decides to take a shower and then goes to her wardrobe to pick out some clothes. While browsing through her usual outfits, she notices an unfamiliar dress hanging among them. Assuming it ended up there by mistake, she quickly selects another outfit and leaves for the pub. When she arrives, she is surprised to see that Decim has put up a new sign outside. The sign features an image of the girl from her dream. Curious, she asks Decim why the old sign was replaced. Decim explains that it wasn't his decision but was ordered by Nane. Before they can continue the conversation, Decim suddenly senses something off and warns the black-haired girl that some strange guests are about to arrive. He advises her not to greet them, as there's something suspicious about their presence. After a while, the elevator doors open, and 2 guests step out, a man and a young boy. Decim immediately begins to ask them if they remember anything from before they entered the bar. As they sit down, the man mentions that the bar and its surroundings seem oddly familiar to him, though he can't pinpoint why. However, the boy doesn't remember anything, which catches Decim off guard. Elsewhere, Nana is having a good time playing a game that looks like a solar system with an elderly man named Oculus. Oculus is the creator of the Judgment System and is in charge of all the levels, holding a rank higher than Nane. Despite his significant role as the second in command for the position of God, Oculus is not very good at pool and always ends up losing to Nana during their games. As the man sat at the bar, enjoying his drink, a rush of memories suddenly filled his mind, making him recall the details of Decim's bar more clearly. Suddenly, in a tense moment, he grabs the young boy next to him, holding him tightly. Decim quickly intervenes, using his special threads to restrain the man. While doing so, Decim begins to tell a story, but the man seems uninterested and unimpressed. Then, unexpectedly, the man loses consciousness, not because of the dullness of the story, but due to some unknown and mysterious reason. When Decim regains his focus, he notices the woman with black hair lying unconscious. Seizing the opportunity, the man quickly uses the threads to trap the boy. To everyone's surprise, the boy suddenly changes shape, revealing himself to be Jinty, another arbiter who has a past connection with Decim. Jinty confronts Decim, criticizing him for how he's been handling his role as an arbiter. He questions Decim about why he hasn't yet passed judgment on the woman. Decim calmly explains that he didn't judge her right away because she already knew she was dead, which made it impossible to involve her in the typical judgment games they use. Instead, Decim sought Nana's help to erase the woman's memories, allowing them to form an unexpected partnership. Together, they started working on their shared mission of making judgments, with the woman now assisting Decim in his duty. Frustrated by Jinty's words, he decides to take matters into his own hands and challenges Decim physically. Their confrontation quickly escalates into a fierce battle, causing chaos and nearly destroying the entire bar. Fortunately, Nana and Clavis intervene just in time, stopping Jinty and preventing further damage to the bar. Nana then explains to Decim that the guests were part of a test designed for him, but he missed the important lesson. Realizing his mistake, Decim admits he overlooked the key detail of not retrieving the guests' memories, which would have provided the necessary clue. He apologizes for his error and takes the experience as a valuable lesson. Clavis then removes the fake body of the man, and everyone leaves. Nana visits her friend Castra at his workplace, where he is busy analyzing data about people who have recently passed away. His job is to sort them into different categories to determine where they should go in the afterlife bar. As they talk, they notice a troubling trend. More people are dying at a faster rate. Meanwhile, Decim takes the unconscious woman with black hair to her room. While she sleeps, she continues to dream about the children's book and finally reveals the name of the character she has feelings for. In a surprising twist, it's revealed that Nana is actually the one who has been reading the story all along. The elevator doors open and a girl with brown hair, Mayu Arita, steps out and begins exploring her surroundings. As she wanders, she eventually spots Jinty's bar. Jinty invites her to sit down, but soon grows irritated by her behavior. Suddenly, she is introduced to Harada, an idol singer who happens to be her favorite member of the group she adores. Filled with excitement, she can't believe she's meeting him in person and eagerly shakes his hand, completely overwhelmed. Despite the awkwardness of the situation, she can't help but feel excited to be in his presence. Jinty quickly steps into his role as the host and suggests a game of chance to Mayu and Harada. They spin a wheel, which lands on the game Twister. Jinty then leads the pair into another room where a twister mat is already set up on the floor. He explains the rules. They must place their hands and feet on the matching colored circles according to the spinner's instruction. Mayu is thrilled at the idea of playing Twister with Harada and eagerly joins in, hoping to enjoy the moment with her favorite idol. However, Harada isn't as enthusiastic. He's not interested in Mayu, finding her excessive makeup off-putting, and only wants the game to end quickly so he can return to his girlfriend. Despite his lack of interest, Harada shows off his flexibility during the game, while Jinty lounges nearby, casually flipping through Harada's memories as if they were pages in a magazine, barely paying attention to the game. As the game continues, Mayu asks for a break, but Jinty ignores her request and makes the game even more difficult. Each colored section of the twister mat now represents a different extreme weather condition. The red spot becomes unbearably hot. The green spot blasts strong winds that threaten to blow away Mayu's false eyelashes. The blue spot is freezing cold, and the most dangerous of all is the yellow spot. Harada, shivering from the cold, struggles to move his right foot onto the yellow spot. As he does, the other sections of the mat suddenly disappear, revealing a floor covered in spikes beneath them. Jinty then reveals the dark twist. The game will only end when one of them is the last one standing. What started as a simple game has now turned into a life-or-death situation, forcing Mayu and Harada to realize the serious danger they're in. As Harada is about to push Mayu, she surprises everyone by choosing to shield both of them. She expresses her gratitude to Harada for the comforting music he gave her and praises the game they were playing. Then, she gently lowers herself down. Although Harada is haunted by memories of his ex-girlfriend's tragic fate after their breakup, he reaches out to grab Mayu's hand, desperately trying to save her. Despite his best attempts, Mayu slips through his grasp and falls. To her astonishment, the spikes below turn out to be an illusion, and she lands safely on the ground. Both of them are overwhelmed with memories. Mei recalls her own tragic end, which happened after she slipped in the bathroom, while Harada remembers his death, which was caused by a bomb planted by his ex-girlfriend's sister as a revenge for his unfaithfulness. As Jindy goes to assist her, the girl isn't concerned about the hole and simply requests new clothes because her uniform is damaged. When she comes back, her appearance has completely changed, and she looks much more adorable, which surprises both Jindy and Harada. Seizing the opportunity, Harada decides to flirt with Mei. This makes her blush and feel a bit nervous, catching her off guard with his attention and making the moment quite charming. While playing a game of pool by himself, Oculus shared the important rules that all arbiters must follow. He first explained that arbiters need to keep making decisions continuously because that's what defines their role. Next, he pointed out that arbiters should not experience death, as it would affect their ability to make fair and unbiased judgments. Finally, he noted that arbiters are supposed to be without emotions, as feelings would interfere with their objective nature. These rules help arbiters stay true to their special role in the world, ensuring they make decisions without personal biases or emotional influence. By adhering to these principles, arbiters are able to maintain fairness and justice in their judgments, fulfilling their essential duties effectively. On the other hand, black-haired girl wakes up from her dream again, and as she begins her day, she notices a peculiar book on a shelf. Out of curiosity, she takes it down and discovers that it's a children's book with a story identical to the one from her dream. This discovery triggers some old memories, and she realizes with sadness that she has also passed away. Later on, she visits the bar and asks Decim about the book. Decim explains that the book might have belonged to the previous arbiter of Quindecim. This new piece of information deepens the mystery of her situation and reveals more about her own past in the afterlife. Years ago, when Decim and Jinty were first made arbiters and assigned to their own floors, Nane, their superior, took them to watch Quinn, the former bartender of Quindecim, perform her final judgment before she moved on to work in the Information Bureau. Nana told Decim that he would take over Quinn's role at Quindecim on the 15th floor once she left. Afterward, Nana brought them to the upper viewing deck and gave them a special device that could control the games during the judgments. As they observed, Nana saw that Decim did not use the device, while Jinty did. Later, when Nana asked Decim why he hadn't used it, Decim confessed that he had been so absorbed in thinking about the guests and their thoughts that he forgot to use the device. Nana realized that Decim, unlike many arbiters, was not showing true emotions but had the potential to develop them. This discovery intrigued Nana and made her more interested in how Decim would handle his role in arbitration. Before they parted ways, Quinn had advised Decim to find something valuable to keep him engaged, as the repetitive and monotonous nature of being an arbiter could become quite dull. When the woman asks Decim about his treasured possession, he reveals his collection of dummies. He explains that he carefully makes these mannequins based on the guests he has judged, ensuring their memories are preserved. At first, the woman finds Decim's unusual hobby unsettling. However, her view changes when Decim shares his reasons. He tells her that he admires people who have lived rich and fulfilling lives. When guests are sent into the void and become dummies with their essence floating away, Decim collects their parts and assembles them into his collection. This act helps him remember and honor them. Ironically, though, Decim often forgets these guests. The arbiter's memories are routinely wiped to prevent them from being overwhelmed by too much information, so even Decim's efforts to remember are somewhat thwarted. Meanwhile, Nana and Quinn are enjoying some time together, catching up on things. Quinn warns Nana to be careful about letting the old man know what she's up to with her new arbiter, as he disapproves of arbiters showing emotion. Just then, Nana wakes up to find Oculus standing over her. Oculus had come to check on her because he had noticed she hadn't been in touch recently. He suspects that something might be going on, but Nana brushes off his concerns by saying she's been busy. She tries to deflect the awkward encounter and avoid further discussion about her activities. In the meantime, Decim and the black hair lady can be seen cleaning up when suddenly Decim gets the memories of upcoming guests. Thinking that there's something strange about these new guests, he decided to call Nane. Upon answering, Decim tells her that in the upcoming guest one of them is a murderer and he has no experience dealing with murderers, to which Nana reveals that everyone is busy so he has to be one to cover it up while having a devilish grin on his face. Suddenly, the lifts open up indicating the guests have arrived. Decim welcomes both of them and asks if they remember how they got here. The young guy named Shimada tells that he remembers going somewhere, and Decim goes on to ask the middle-aged man named Tatsumi. Tatsumi also reveals that he was going somewhere but does remember. Decim goes on to explain the situation they are in and they have to play a game with their life at stake. Tatsumi proposes an idea to look around the area. Shimada decided to look in a bathroom. After having his business done, he looks inside the bag he has. Surprisingly, he found a knife with blood stains on it. Shock how it got here, but suddenly has to hide when Tatsumi knocks on the door and enters. After not finding any exit, Tatsumi and Shimada confront Decim. revealing that they have no other choice or they will end up like the dummies. Shimada asks if they are going to get killed, but Tatsumi reveals that he can tell from his experience that Desum is not a killer. Both of them agree to play and Tatsumi presses the button. The game they get to play is air hockey. The rules of the game are the same as regular hockey. Both players have to score and whoever reaches the goal of 6 points will win. However, unlike normal pucks, they will get the puck with their organs on it. Both of them start the game and Shimada gets to win the first point. However, Tatsumi doesn't let that slide and goes for the score as well. Suddenly, some of Shimada's memories come back in which he promises his crying sister that he will protect her. Suddenly, he shares this with Tatsumi and reveals that he used to play this game with his sister as a child. Upon asking, Shimada also reveals that he is 22 years old. Meanwhile, the black-haired lady tells Desum to not use the remote. Back to the boys, who seem to be taking a break. Tatsumi tells Shimada that he didn't see a single emotion in Desum's eyes and it's his first time dealing with someone like this. Tatsumi also reveals playing the game is the tactic to know more about him. As they continue to play, Shimada recalls more memories with his sister. As Shimada goes for another score, Tatsumi also remembers one night coming home and finding his wife's dead body. Suddenly he gets up and decides to take a break. Seeing this, Desum tells the lady that someone's death takes a heavy toll on a person's emotion. Listening to this, the lady asks Desum that she wants to watch their memories. Desum replies that he will put a request up there. In the meantime, Tatsumi recalls the day his wife gifted him a pair of shoes. After smoking a cigarette, Tatsumi gets back to his game and tells Shimada to keep going on. Shimada is shocked to see this side of Tatsumi as he goes for another score. That's when Shimada remembered one day coming home and finding his sister with lots of injuries. Tatsumi is also shocked to see the new Shimada, and when he reveals that he has to do something must. Suddenly, Desum appears and announces that because the time has been exceeded they have to change the format of the game. Desum goes on to tell that every puck is now linked to the organ and inflicts excruciating pain. Upon asking, Shimada reveals that he is going to take revenge on the person who attacked his sister. Listening to this, Tatsumi also reveals that he is going to kill someone after getting out of here to take revenge on his wife's murder. Later on, the black-haired lady receives the memories of the guests, and it's revealed that the both of them are murderer. Curious about the memories Desum has, the dark-haired woman asks him to show her what he's received. Desum agrees and sends the memories to her. As she reviews them, her expression changes when she realizes that both Tatsumi and Shimada have committed murders. Meanwhile, Shimada and Tatsumi continue their air hockey game, both fueled by their desire for revenge against those who hurt their loved ones. They are determined not to lose. As they play, their memories become more vivid. Shimada remembers that the knife he found was actually the one he used to protect his sister by injuring a man who had attacked her. Tatsumi recalls avenging his wife and hearing her thank him for his actions. He encourages Shimada to stay focused and win so they can set things right. Tatsumi also tells Shimada about a man who did nothing to help Shimada's sister during her time of need. The intense air hockey game continues, with the final round putting their minds at risk. Shimada emerges victorious, and Tatsumi receives a memory that connects his fate with Shimada's after learning his full name. Desum congratulates Tatsumi on his win, and Tatsumi realizes that the knife he found was a key part of his journey to this place. Shimada is still in disbelief about their death until Tatsumi reveals his wound. This sight makes Shimada remember the moment he sought revenge by attacking the man who harmed his sister, confirming their tragic reality. Shimada's mind is overwhelmed as he questions why Tatsumi was at his sister's house that day. Tatsumi reveals that he had witnessed the attack but chose not to intervene right away. Instead, he decided to collect evidence against the attacker to ensure that justice would be served properly. From Tatsumi's viewpoint, he saw himself as needing to observe the crime before making a judgment like an arbiter. This revelation hit Shimada hard, making him realize that his sister's situation might have improved if Tatsumi had acted sooner. The anger and frustration Shimada feels are intense as he processes this truth. Desum steps in to stop Shimada from attacking Tatsumi. Since Desum cannot judge the situation clearly in his current emotional state, he asks Shimada if he wants to punish Tatsumi. Driven by his anger, Shimada says he wants to end Tatsumi's life. Desum explains that while someone who has died cannot be killed again, they can still feel pain. He then presents Tatsumi's pucks to Shimada and restrains Tatsumi, allowing Shimada to prepare to break the pucks with a knife. The black-haired woman tries to intervene, arguing that Desum is only bringing out the darkness in Shimada's soul. She tells him that he cannot make fair judgments if he doesn't understand people's emotions. Desum, however, dismisses her concerns, insisting that observing their actions is necessary for him to make a judgment. Despite his stance, her words make Decim reflect on the possibility that he might actually have a heart. She then turns to Shimada, trying to convince him not to destroy the pucks, suggesting instead that he could be reincarnated and see his sister again in another form. Shimada hesitates, feeling conflicted, but Tatsumi taunts him, calling him weak and pushing him to continue fighting. These insults break Shimada's resolve, and he starts smashing the pucks one by one. Tatsumi screams in agony and eventually loses consciousness from the pain. Watching this unfold, Decim begins to question his abilities as an arbiter. He feels deeply troubled by the woman's words and the impact they have had on him and the situation, making him doubt his role and the fairness of his judgments. Not long ago, Decim woke up with no memories of who he was, unlike the black lady who seemed to know everything. Troubled by these events, he went to see Nane. Decim expressed his concerns, suggesting that their method of judging people might be flawed. He wondered if their harsh tests were creating more pain rather than uncovering true character. Feeling regretful, Decim apologized to Nane. He admitted that he found it difficult to judge those who had lived good lives because he holds a deep respect for them. During their conversation, Nana mentions that the black-haired woman is beginning to recall her past and will soon need to be judged. Decim reassures her that he can handle the judgment by himself and doesn't need her assistance. But Nana interrupts him. She challenges Decim, asking if he really understands the woman's true nature and points out that even if he did, he might not fully grasp it. Frustrated, Decim clenches his fist but stays quiet. Nana shifts the topic, informing Decim that a special guest is on the way. She notes that this guest is also an arbiter. This surprise news leaves Decim with a lot to think about as he prepares for the upcoming judgment. At Quindecim, Decim and the black-haired woman wait for their guest to arrive. When the guest shows up, they find it's an elderly woman named Sachiko Yumura. Before they start the game, Sachiko recognizes a picture that is shown. They decide to play Old Maid together. As they play, Sachiko comments that she knows the elderly man shown on one of the cards. Decim picks up a Kokshi doll, which reminds him of a discussion he had with Jindy about the nature of judgments. As the game continues, the black-haired woman eventually draws the Joker card, signaling the end of the game for her. Meanwhile, Nana and Clavis are seen talking with Quinn. Quinn asks for all the black-haired woman's memories to be reviewed. During the game, Sachiko picks a card with an incomplete picture, which makes her realize that this indicates she is no longer alive. After locating the black-haired woman's memories, Nana and Quinn exchange various items. Sachiko begins to recall the story of Chabot and shares it with Decim, who listens with interest. This discussion sparks a memory in the black-haired woman, who realizes that her mother used to read that story to her often. She also remembers her own name, Chiyuki. As the game concludes, Chiyuki loses, and Sachiko is prepared for reincarnation. Chiyuki, left confused, starts to question how she died. Meanwhile, Oculus, after reviewing some of Clavis' memories, grows suspicious of Nane's behavior. He notices something strange about Nane's actions and becomes wary, sensing that there might be more going on than meets the eye. Decim tells Chiyuki that he wants to better understand humans and their emotions before she is judged. He feels it's important to learn more about their feelings and experiences. Chiyuki, however, is unable to stay at Quindecim any longer because her body is starting to fall apart. Meanwhile, Jinty is shown grinning widely in a sinister way. In his bar, Harada's body is visible, though his face is obscured. Mayu is overjoyed to see Harada again, but he doesn't wake up when she calls his name. Jinty tells her that Harada's soul is still missing. To bring him back, they need another soul to go into the void to retrieve Harada's. Without this, Harada's body will turn into a lifeless puppet. Mayu must quickly find a way to exchange another soul for Harada's to prevent this from happening. If she doesn't act quickly, Harada's body will become a puppet permanently. Seeing the urgency of the situation, Mayu needs to make a decision fast to save Harada from this fate. Jinty needs to choose a soul to send to the void in order to save Harada. Mayu, eager to help, offers her own soul but admits she is scared and doesn't fully understand the void. Jinty criticizes her for being impulsive and tells her she must choose between Harada and an unknown person who is waiting for a death game. This decision is very difficult for Mayu. She realizes that her choice will affect both Harada and the stranger's future, making her task even more complicated. Mayu understands that this is a significant and serious decision. Conflicted, Mayu questions why she must decide between two souls. Jinty explains that humans fear death and fight to survive, which is something he does not experience. He hands Mayu a red button used in the death games and instructs her to press it once she makes her choice. Mayu hesitates and asks about the identity of the person she would be condemning. Jinty responds that it doesn't really matter who they are and challenges her to think about the kind of person she would be willing to sacrifice for Harada. Although Mayu denies that she wants to sacrifice anyone, she struggles deeply with the moral implications of her choice. She is torn between her strong desire to save Harada and the heavy burden of condemning another person. Mayu faces a tough decision, grappling with the ethical dilemma of choosing one life over another, knowing that the outcome will forever impact both individuals involved. While thinking back, Desum remembers meeting Chiyuki for the first time. She believed she should be dead, which surprised Desum. Chiyuki, in tears, couldn't explain how she knew she was dead. Since she recalled her death, Desum couldn't convince her to participate in death games. He then made her sleep, erased her memories, and delayed her judgment with Nane's approval. Before Chiyuki leaves, Desum asks to be her judge, though he can't explain why he feels compelled to do so. Chiyuki comes back to the bar. She finds it turned into an ice rink, with Desum waiting. He requests her to skate on the ice. While skating, Chiyuki's memories resurface. She realizes that she pursued figure skating professionally because of her beloved children's book, Chaba. Unfortunately, a serious knee injury during her peak forced her to retire, triggering deep sadness and disconnection from those around her. This profound loss of purpose and connection eventually led her to take her own life. Chiyuki begins to understand that her sadness wasn't just about losing her ability to skate. When her mother praised her, Chiyuki couldn't handle it and asked her to leave. This reaction showed that her low self-esteem was the main cause of her unhappiness. She found it hard to connect with people she met through skating, feeling as if they had turned into strangers. This made her think that trying to understand others was pointless. Desum wonders if it's wrong to want to understand Chiyuki's pain and expresses a strong desire to learn more about her. When they return to Quindesum, Desum prepares a special drink for both of them, calling it Memento Mori. He briefly explains the meaning of the name before Chiyuki drinks it. She compliments his bartending skills, but soon after drinking, Chiyuki faints. Desum sets his glass aside, not knowing that Nana had arranged for Quinn to prepare Chiyuki's memories for this moment. He asks Quinn to show him Kurakami's memories. In the elevator heading to the 20th floor, Mayu is carrying Harada and asks Jinty where the elevator will take them. Jinty explains that it will lead to Harada's soul and reassures her that Harada will wake up. Mayu, curious, then asks Jinty what Harada means to her. Initially feeling like she's being made fun of, she questions whether her life has any real meaning. She then turns the question back to Jinty, asking why he chose to be an arbiter. Jinty responds that it's simply his job, which surprises Mayu. Her compassion for Jinty leads his mannequin to leave. As the elevator doors close, Mayu thinks about her life, realizing it's been unusual but finding a sense of purpose in her commitment to Harada. Meanwhile, Jinty's mask changes, revealing that he's deceiving them and sending them to the void instead. In another part of the facility, Quinn uses telepathy to inform Nana about Desum's request. Nana tries to leave but is stopped by Oculus, who calls her a naughty girl and prevents her from exiting. Oculus then tries to attack Nana with his beard, hoping to sneak a peek into her memories, but Nana easily avoids his attack. Oculus asks her about her motives, and Nana explains that she believes arbiters can develop human emotions and are not just lifeless dummies. Oculus laughs off her belief and decides to leave her alone. Meanwhile, Desum is seen carrying Chiyuki and heading towards the elevator when Clavis arrives. Desum requests that Clavis take him to the lowest level, which surprises Clavis, but he quickly complies without asking further questions. After some time, Chiyuki wakes up and finds herself lying in her own bed. Realizing she is back in her own world, she tries to get up quickly to find her mother. However, she stumbles and is shocked to see a part of her past where she is still a dummy. At the same time, Desum appears, adding to her confusion. Desum notices some cartoonish figures of a boy and a girl in Chiyuki's room. Chiyuki explains that her mother gave her these figures when she was a child. She then asks if she might have been dreaming, but Desum tells her that she wasn't dreaming and has actually been dead for 3 months. They both then head down to the kitchen, where Chiyuki remembers happy times spent with her parents. To her surprise, her mother arrives, but she cannot see Chiyuki. Desum explains that her mother cannot see them because people in the living world are not able to interact with the dead. Later, they find themselves outside Chiyuki's home. Desum unexpectedly takes out a remote control and hands it to Chiyuki. He explains that every hour, 7,000 people die in the world. If Chiyuki presses the button on the remote, she can return to life, but someone else from the living world will have to die in her place. Desum explains to Chiyuki that if she chooses to use the remote, her memories of Quindesum will be erased, and she will return to life. Chiyuki asks if the person who would die could be one of her friends or family. Desum says it's possible, but notes that the chance of it happening is very low. As they speak, Chiyuki sees her mother at home, placing food at her memorial and praying for her. Her mother starts crying and feels regret for not understanding her daughter's feelings when she was alive. Chiyuki tries to approach her mother, but Desum stops her. She is about to press the button but suddenly recalls the people she met in Quindesum. Feeling conflicted, Chiyuki drops the remote and says she can't go through with it because everyone has someone who cares about them. Decim is taken aback and asks why it matters to her, but Chiyuki explains that she cannot take a life because there will be someone who deeply values that person. Overcome with emotion, Chiyuki starts crying again. Surprisingly, Decim seems to be moved by her words and affected by her decision. Seeing her mother in tears, Chiyuki can't bear it anymore and tells Decim to press the button for her. Suddenly, the world around them begins to crack and collapse. Decim apologizes for deceiving her. They find themselves in a graveyard of dummies, and both Chiyuki and Decim embrace each other, crying together. Meanwhile, Oculus and Nana observe from a distance, watching the emotional scene between Decim and Chiyuki. Oculus asks Nana if she's aware that Arbiter having human emotions could complicate the process of making judgments. Nana responds by saying that humans are not capable of judging each other fairly. Oculus questions why she continues to do it if she knows it will be difficult. Nana explains that while it might make judgment harder, it's still not right to make random judgments. Oculus then asks why she wants Arbiters to suffer. Nana answers that she wants them to experience what it means to be alive, and then she leaves, returning to Decim and Chiyuki. Decim explains that the place they were in is where bodies go after their souls have left them. They meet up with Clavis, who then takes them back to Quindecim. As Chiyuki steps into the elevator for the last time, they say their final goodbyes. Chiyuki asks Decim to smile before she leaves, but he ends up making a comical face instead. As the elevator doors close, both of them are tearful as they say goodbye. Meanwhile, Clavis meets Jinty and asks him to pour a drink for them. Elsewhere, Nana and her friends are enjoying a meal. One of them asks if they will keep sending memories to the Arbiters, but Nana declines the idea and leaves. At the end, two new souls arrive at Quindecim, and Decim greets them with a smile. Beside him, the dummy version of Chiyuki can be seen. Thanks for watching till this long, my fellow men of culture. Don't forget to tell us about your favorite waifu from this anime and subscribe to the channel for more content.